Yo, what is up? So I got the New Orleans Saints depth chart breakdown just before the season starts. Just kind of go through what their 53-man roster is looking like. And yeah, what I think, just look at the depth and how this team's looking going into the season. So, of course, start off with the offense. And quarterback position, you got to start with Jameis Winston coming off the ACL injury. Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about Jameis Winston. If he's got all the traits to be a really good quarterback, everything's mental about Jameis Winston, and he showed last year in the games that he did play that he was a better player, making better decisions, still having them big plays, but being a smarter quarterback. And if he can continue with that this year and stays healthy, the Saints were looking really good before then, and they just added players this offseason to make them even more explosive. And he did this with one of the worst wide receiver groups in the whole NFL. It was horrible, the wide receivers that were starting. Like, they're not bad receivers, but nobody was like a number one receiver or even probably a number three type of player. So him being able to produce like that without these players is very optimistic going into the season if he can keep that up. And he's looked good. Just saying in that one preseason game, he looked really good. Just didn't complete all his passes and whatever, but it is preseason. And then if it doesn't go well, maybe James really struggles or he does get injured, you got Andy Dalton to back him up. And Andy Dalton, he could definitely win you games. Really experienced quarterback. Played for many years with the Bengals. Probably the best backup in the league. One of the best backups. Yeah, definitely. Andy Dalton, really excited to have him on the Saints team to back up Jameis. It's just a really good, smart decision that they made. Go to the skill groups now. We'll go to the receivers. Of course, getting Michael Thomas back after not playing for nearly 2 years. He is dealing with a hamstring injury right now, so you do hope that's nothing serious. And it looks like he will be able to play a week one. And yeah, I'm hoping Michael Thomas can be back to that player that he was. He probably won't be the same just because he doesn't have Drew Brees, of course, but still going to be a really productive player, I think. Really good at getting separation. I'm just a big fan of Michael Thomas, and I think he's being hated on too much. So I'd love to see him prove all the haters wrong when he comes back. And yeah, the Saints need this player back badly after last year. And then they draft Chris Olave, speedy deep threat from Ohio State. Really smart, good route runner. Just a good all-round player. Like, I think he's day one impact. Probably was the most pro-ready receiver in this draft class. So that's pretty optimistic for him coming into this year. Can be an immediate deep threat for Jameis, who's really good at throwing the deep ball. So that was a great draft pick. And then Jarvis Landry, they bring in one of the best slot receivers in the league. Has been a slot receiver for many years now at a high level. So love having him here. He should just be able to get them easy yards out of the slot. He's nothing special in the slot, but he's just a really good player. Like, nothing more, nothing less, and that's what the Saints need. They just need somebody on the level of like Jarvis Landry, which they didn't have last year, and kind of be that mentor, veteran type player also. And you move on to depth. Marquez Callaway's intriguing player. He's played good football from being an undrafted player, and as your fourth receiver, is a good kind of backup for Michael Thomas, if anything else, because they're similar type receivers. Also is good in the return game if injuries happen at that position. So like having Marquez Callaway. And then you also got Deontay Hardy, who's one of the shiftiest, fast players in the whole league, probably. One of the best punt returners. His role will probably just be like screens and jet sweeps because he's really good at that with his speed and shiftiness. So I really like having Deontay Hardy in that role. That's probably what we'll play. That's probably how he's going to get on the field. Probably not going to get as much actual true wide receiver sets with like the starters unless injuries happen. But as kind of that gadget player, I really like him. Shaquan Smith kind of given up on, but like he has these flash plays every once in a while. But like overall as a receiver, just not a good player. So nah. And going on to the running backs, Alvin Kamara, of course, is not going to get us this mention now, which is very good for the Saints. Well, he shouldn't. A bit late now. I love having Alvin Kamara. Really good pass catching running back. And, he's not as good as a runner, but is still a really productive runner. And just gives you another weapon out of this backfield for Jameis Winston. Just a player you can also line up in the slot at receiver on the outside and can beat the linebackers and safeties with ease. So has really good hands. So love having Alvin Kamara. And Mark Ingram back him up, kind of be more of that power back Very good for his offense. Really good 1-2 punch. That will be his role. The short yardage, early downs, those type of plays. So, yeah, Mark Ingram still productive in that role. Dwayne Washington, more of a special teamer. He won't get a ton of snaps at running back. Tony Jones will get more snaps at running back just because he's more of a runner and not really a key special teamer like Dwayne Washington. And, yeah, Tony Jones, really tough runner. Kind of preseason standout for the Saints this year. So, I mean, excited to see what he can possibly do with a more expanded role. And Aaron Prentice, fullback. Yeah, decent fullback. Nothing special, it's just a fullback. Tight end, Adam Troutman. Happy about Adam Troutman. You want more from him. I think he'll be better this year. Was kind of underwhelming last year. First year, you kind of expected it. It was behind like Jared Cook and stuff. But yeah, good run blocker, tight end position also. You already know that about him, but it's just the passing game where he really needs to improve. He's not been that consistent as a receiver, and wouldn't be surprised if this year he can take a big step up. And then a really intriguing player in Taysom Hill, the former quarterback, of course, who is just kind of a player who wants to get the ball in his hands, has really good speed and athleticism for a player like him. And if he can just keep learning the tight end position, I have faith that he can probably overtake Adam Troutman as the number one tight end. Would not be surprised. Nick Vannett, good blocking tight end. That'll be his role. Won't catch a lot of balls. Then you got Juwan Johnson, big tight end target. Switched from wide receiver last year. Played well in like red zone. Caught a lot of touchdowns. That'll probably be his role again. Throw him up the ball. He's really good at high pointing it. Getting those contested catches. And also can be decent after the catch for a tight end just because he has that wide receiver background. So it's good having Juwan Johnson. I mean, I feel probably be the third or second. Probably second, actually, because, I mean, Taysom was trying to get into that position. He'll put it all over the place anyway. He's not really a tight end. So we'll get into offensive line. Left tackle, James Hurst. Yeah, just a good average offensive lineman. Not really a weakness or a strength. Can get beat, of course, by the better defensive lineman, but can also hold himself pretty well against them. Like, I mean, it's also kind of unfortunate with Trevor Penning going down, but James Hurst is probably going to start anyway, and I think he'll play decent, and Landon Young to back him up. Yeah, good backup tackle, young player, has some upside. And then Andres Pete in the inside. It's kind of been a liability for this offensive line for quite a while, to be honest. And, I mean, you just kind of hope at this point he can take a step up. Wouldn't be surprised if he will. Like, would be nice for Andres Pete to play better, because the interior of this, besides Eric McCoy, who... Yeah, everybody knows about Eric McCoy. He's just a good center, good run blocker, and pass protector. So you're happy with Eric McCoy, and then it's kind of just added Pete Cesar Ruiz. Cesar Ruiz needs to take a big step up in his pass protection and probably run protection also. But I think, I mean, he is a young player. Was a 20-year-old coming into the league. Still has a ton of potential. I think Cesar Ruiz could have a really good year this year. And then for the backups, Calvin Throckmorton and Tanner Owen. Calvin Throckmorton played some time, played quite a bit last year, just wasn't very good. But as a backup, nothing wrong with it. Tanner Owen just claimed for Buffalo. Good depth for tackle and guard, kind of versatile player. So yeah, Ryan Ramczyk, I mean, nothing to really say about him. One of the best right tackles in the whole league. So you're pretty safe with that. And yeah, Lewis Kidd, undrafted player who made the roster. Really huge offensive lineman, I think, does have upside. And if you can just develop behind like Ryan Ramczyk, like, I think that's a pretty good backup tackle you can have. So that was the offense. So now let's go into the defense, starting with the defensive line. And starting with the man, Cameron Jordan. Yeah, Cameron Jordan is a beast, being such a good player for a long time. 3-down player, basically never comes on off the field because he's such a good run defender and pass rusher. Just really all-round elite defensive end. Could probably slow down a bit. He's getting up in age, so wouldn't be surprised if production isn't the same this year, but I'm pretty optimistic that Cameron Jordan can still produce at a pretty high level even at his age, so you're good with that. Tano Passanio, that's how you say it. Yeah, good backup for Cameron Jordan. Also another really big player, strong player. He also plays some interior at times. They'll use him in that role also. Maybe for third down, you want your full pass rush. You put Tano on the inside going up against a guard. Yeah, that's kind of unstoppable. Really athletic player. Played well before he got injured, so you're good with that. And then going on to interior, David Onyemata was a beast after coming off his suspension. He's been a beast for such a long time for the Saints. Well, I mean, not such a long time. It's not that old. But yeah, you got him. Not as good as a run defender as he is a pass rusher, but can still hold up in the run game. Just more of a presence in pass rush. And Shy Tuttle next to him, who is a liability in pass rush, doesn't do anything, but his role is a run defender, and he's very good at that. So, I mean, that's all you really need him for, because then you got Contavious Street, who you'll bring in probably on third downs, who literally is a horrible run defender but an amazing pass rusher. They're kind of two opposites, Shy Tuttle and Contavious Street. So you put in Contavious Street on third down, really good pass rushing interior player. So yeah, good rotation they got there. You'd think they would have maybe kept another defensive tackle. They only got 3. They always like using a bunch of players, but they'll probably call up people from the practice squad before week 1. And you guys, of course, got Marcus Davenport, who, I mean, he got his finger amputated this offseason, so hasn't been able to really play a lot. And kind of a player who's been injury prone the whole time he's been in the league, but when he has played, he's been a monster. So, I mean, if Marcus Davenport can play a whole year healthy, he could definitely lead the team in sacks over Cameron Jordan, over David Onyemata. I think he definitely can do that and get himself probably a big payday because, I mean, besides his injuries, he's a really good player. And Carl Granderson back went more of a speed rusher, has put on some weight this offseason to kind of be more of a power, add more of a power element to his pass rush and help him run defense. But he's just a good rotational player. I probably would have expected more from Carl Granderson at this point. But you're fine with him there. Could have a good year. And Peyton Turner, first round pick from last year, was injured pretty much the whole of the season. When he did play, he looked pretty promising, looked like a good player. Kind of looked similar to Marcus Davenport and Cameron Jordan. As all big edge rushers who can like kind of move in and out of the interior also. I probably wouldn't have liked Peyton Turner again if they did redraft, but I could see him developing and maybe being a replacement for Cam Jordan or Marcus Davenport. That's probably what they're thinking with Peyton Turner. He just needs to stay healthy. Same with Marcus Davenport. Like, both of them need to stay healthy. And now we'll go to linebackers. Demario Davis, of course, one of the best linebackers in the league. Really good at everything. Amazing blitzer. Decent in coverage. That is like the one thing where you would say he's not as good at, but like for his size and everything, is not bad for someone like Demario Davis to be like that in coverage, but really good run defender, the leader of the defense, leader of the team. I love Demario Davis, such a good player. Pete Werner, being injured basically the whole of the offseason, which isn't the best. It's like a groin injury, I think. So you hope he's healthy for week 1. It looks like he will be with just kind of the way they've been acting around like the other linebackers on the roster. So yeah, Pete Werner, when he did play last year, was a really good player, kind of retaining out of Quan Alexander, but looked very good for a rookie linebacker, which is usually a really hard position to come in straight away and play well. Because, I mean, it's a pretty hard position to just play good at as a rookie for all the stuff you have to do. But he looked really good, especially in run defense. And yeah, Caden Ellison will be more of the outside linebacker in this scheme. They'll bring him in for 3 linebacker sets, and he'll kind of play off the edge a bit. Decent player, had a good preseason. Zach Bond, yeah, basically being buried on this depth chart now. Has not played well when he has gotten a chance. Former third round pick who's getting hyped up into like maybe like second, first round conversations before the draft. Just, I don't know, they maybe need to try and trade him away, but I don't know if anybody's really going to try and want Zach Bond. And Andrew Dow is a special teamer, so that's kind of his role. Nothing really else. Can play if he's needed, but probably won't happen. And then going to the corners, Marshawn Lattimore, of course, is your starting outside corner. Amazing cornerback. Had a really good season last year that kind of went under the radar. Just played really well. You're happy if Marshawn Lattimore can lock down that side of the field. It's all okay. Especially if it's Mike Evans, you don't even need to look over that side. Marshall Lattimore got that thing locked down. So you're fine with Marshall Lattimore. And then Paulson Debo, who's a rookie last year, played. I mean, he had his ups and downs, but that's just being a rookie corner. And I'd say the ups were more promising than the downs. The downs were just like kind of just getting beat like ever so often by really good receivers or whatever. Like, it's going to happen to a rookie. And has been the training camp, probably the training camp standout out of the whole team this offseason. Has played really well. So, I mean, I'm pretty optimistic about Paulson Debo what he can do this year. I think he'll hold off Bradley Roby, who's that veteran corner, played for many years at a high level. But I think Paulson Debo being that young player, you just get him in to develop. And if he does struggle, you know you have Bradley Roby to put in and just not be worrying about it because Bradley Roby can play good football. And Alontae Taylor, the rookie from this year, another good depth player, second round pick. The Saints clearly like him. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays in the slot because, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is traded. They have PJ Williams listed in the nickel, which, that definitely could happen. But I don't think they're going to really have a designated slot defender. I think it's probably going to go more matchup dependent on who they're playing. But PJ Williams will probably get a bigger role on this team. And maybe a reason was they traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, of course, money. And Alontae Taylor maybe has really impressed them to maybe play that role. So we'll just have to see when week 1 comes. Not really a lot coming out about that. So you're fine with the corner group. Is hard losing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but I think the Saints will still be fine without him. And then the safeties, Marcus May, who recently got arrested, which is very annoying, so you hope he's not suspended, which, I mean, looks like it might happen because, I mean, it's such a serious thing. But, if he isn't arrested, Marcus May is a really good, strong safety, another versatile piece on his defense. Same with the other safety, Tyrann Mathieu. Good run defender. Marcus May is decent in coverage. He can kind of be probably that safety you put on tight ends and stuff, kind of being that bigger player, play the Malcolm Jenkins role, like guarding the Gronks and stuff. Like, that's kind of what he'll do. So, happy with Marcus May. And then Tyrann Mathieu, hometown dude, bring him in from Kansas City. One of the best free safeties in the whole league for many years. Super excited to see him in this defense. You basically know you have Tyrann Mathieu, really good versatile player. He can also be a dude who's going to play in the slot at points. Like, I mean, this is going to be everybody playing the slot, to be honest. So Tyrann Mathieu, blah, 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 really good player. I don't know why, my brain just died. Okay, and then we'll go to depth players of safety. Justin Evans, who, kind of be another standout player this offseason. Played well in the preseason also. They definitely liked what they saw because he's made the roster. And if something does happen to Marcus May, I think you're fine with Justin Evans filling in. Of course, they're not the same caliber of player, but for a backup safety, you could do a lot worse than Justin Evans. And JT Gray, your main gunner, special teamer, that's his role. You don't really want to see him on the field on defense, but for special teams, you got no issue about that. And then Daniel Sorensen bring in was horrible in Kansas City. I think Daniel Sorensen is going to be fine. Like, he looked good in the preseason. It wasn't a liability or anything. I think he'll be fine. He'll be a decent depth player. Like, he's still an NFL player, to be honest. I made the roster over some good players, so I think you're fine with Daniel Sorensen. I think he'll be decent. So we'll get into special teams to finish up. Maybe go over Bear Practice Squad. Blake Gillikin, you're having him punter, really good punter. Boomer of a leg, bombs the balls. And Will Lutz, super glad to have him back. Really needed him last season. Went through so many kickers. It's good to have Will Lutz back. Zach Wood, whatever. Long snapper. Deontay Hardy, kick returner. Deontay Hardy is such an electric kick returner. If he's healthy and on the field, then there's always a chance that he can take one back. And Marcus Callaway is fine as a backup kick returner. For a bit of pass squad, Josh Andrews, backup guard, decent. Taco Charlton, I could see him being a dude who gets called up for some games next year. Just kind of be a good rotational player. More offensive line depth. DeGeon Dixon, big Big, tall threat of a receiver. Not really good athlete or anything, but big target. JB Holtz backup tight end. DeMarcus Fields and Vincent Gray I do like quite a bit. Both had some pretty decent moments in preseason, so I like them to maybe develop on the practice squad and see if they have a shot to make the roster. I could see one of them getting called up at some point if injuries, something happen. You can never really predict what's going to happen, but I do like those players. Chase Hansen had a really good preseason week 1 and then kind of got injured, of course. Jordan Jackson, rookie this year. Yeah, dude who just kind of needs to develop, super raw player, but does have some upside. I think one day he can be a good rotational player on this defensive line. And Lucas Kroll, yeah, had some flashes in preseason and this offseason. So happy to have him on the practice squad. Kirk Merritt's been a really big standout, playing receiver and running back at points for the Saints this offseason. Didn't play running back in any games, but they were doing it in practice. I think they do like what they have in Kirk Merritt and would not be surprised if he plays some games this year. Christian Ringo. Yeah, they do like Christian Ringo a bit. I think he did get injured, though, so I don't know what's going to be. Rashid Shaheed, who was probably the best returner in all of football, college football, super electric punt returner and kick returner. Like, he's a beast, but like we have Deontay Harris, so we don't really need him unless an injury happens. Nephi Sewell, yeah, definitely had some standout plays in preseason, like Nephi Sewell. Nick Martin also surprised he didn't just make the full 53-man roster. Just a backup option probably the center. He doesn't really play guard, but can play guard. That's a really good backup center. And if anything does happen to Eric McCoy, I think you're pretty safe with Nick Martin. And Eric Wilson, I thought he would have made the 53-man roster. I thought he had a really good preseason and offseason. I would not be surprised if he does still find his way on the roster. Do like what we have there. Of course, reserves. Colin Baker suspended. Quite a lot of guys on injured reserve. Smoke Monday, damn that side. I would love Smoke Monday. DeMarco Jackson, also another rookie. And Trevor Penn. Malcolm Roach is going to be back in a few weeks, and he'll be on the 52-man roster. So, yeah, that's kind of it. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the Saints roster just before the season starts. Super excited for the Saints season this year. Really optimistic. And, of course, to crush the goddamn Falcons in week 1. It's going to be the easiest game ever. So see you guys next time. Peace.